Hey, web designer friends. In this video, I'm going to share with you a bit of a hidden gem on how to get more web design clients through your website. And it's just a little thing you can add to your homepage in particular. And it's what I like to call a founder's note. And I'm going to show you some examples here and some ways to craft your own founder's note. But I want to share with you the reason why you should have this on your homepage and why it's so effective nowadays for web designers. And that is because most web designer sites that I see, both freelancers and agencies, have no mention on their homepage of who is behind the brand. So put yourself in a potential client's shoes. They get referred to you or they're Googling and they find your website, especially if you have an agency name and it's not a personal brand. They have no idea who is behind the business, who is behind the brand. They have no idea if you're a team of 25 people and you're a full-blown agency with overhead and a location downtown, or they don't know if you're just a solopreneur working in your parents' basement, or in between. Maybe you're a hybrid with a remote team. They have no idea. If you personalize your website as much as possible, particularly with this idea of a founder's note, which I'm going to share how you can do this and show you some real-world examples, that is going to help you convert more traffic into paying web design clients. And a founder's note could be as simple as something like you see here on the freelance version of my website in Transit Studios. This is what's worked for me for years. And I just had a little section that's called Why Work With Us? And you may have something similar where it's like benefits or what makes you different. Now I put my image here, which I highly recommend. Even if you have an agency, I recommend that you have the founder or the CEO or even creative director could work. But have an image of here of who somebody should expect to work with or who is like the leader of the business. And mine was just Why Work With Us? And then I made it very clear that's Josh and my team. So we're not a huge agency, but it's personal, starts with me and I have a team backing me. And then I just put a little note here, which is kind of my founder's note on what makes us different and then why we're a little bit different. I will link this page, by the way, so you can check this out live. And then I like to title myself Head Honcho and Creative Director at this point in my business, but you could put whatever you want. So let me show you some more real world examples. Starting with one of my students, Sandy, who has something very similar. She was on my podcast recently, and she has, over the past year to this point, started scaling her business. So it's not just her anymore, but she's still the forefront and gets the conversation started with clients. So she says, I'm Sandy, I build websites that work. And then she has a little bit more about some of the benefits to her business and a good engaging picture of her that is really warm and welcoming and says, okay, if I decide to work with Sandfire Design, I'm probably going to work with Sandy. And even if she has a team, that's going to likely be my primary contact or at least get us kicked off. Now, if you happen to have multiple people in your business, if you're in a partnership or you do have an agency or even co-founders, one thing you can do is something that my student and member of my web design community, Web Designer Pro, Austyn, has done. On his website, he just recently did this, and I thought it was a really great way to articulate a founder's note. And you could literally call this like founder's note like they've done, or you could do something like Sandy has done with a title or a note from the CEO or a personal message. I'll show you some more examples on this. But there are two folks involved in this business. So Austyn is who I have a relationship with as a member of my community pro, and it is a straight up founder's note. Now, what's interesting about this is you could do a founder's note on its own section, or you could put it in a section like this that has more about mission statement and values. You could do all this together. It'll all work. But either way, prior to this, I don't want to call Austyn out, but it was a good example because I've been coaching him in pro and we've done this to where initially he didn't have this. And I had no idea, if I were putting myself in the business owner's shoes without that section, how big this agency is. Unless I happen to go to the About page, which a lot of clients will do, but don't expect every web design client to go to your About page. Remember, people scan websites like I'm doing here, so they often go pretty quick. This is why it's so beneficial to have you or the CEO, the founder, on your homepage, even if you're an agency, and this is a good way to go. Another couple examples, and then I'm going to share with you some tips on creating your own founder's note. Leigh Ann, another amazing member I'm coaching in my community, Web Designer Pro, she has a nice little section here that's called Meet Your Designer. So if I'm a potential client and I get referred to this business called Hilltop Web Solutions, again, I have no idea who's behind this brand and even here, there's no mention right here on this picture of who this is. So unless Leigh Ann had this photo here with this tactful title and the little bit of kind of like the founder's note here, I don't know who this is. And this could even be a client potentially. Remember too, when you are putting pictures of yourself on your website, particularly your homepage, if you don't specify with an arrow or with a title saying who this is, or in Leigh Ann's case, you have this repeated down here, a client's not going to know who that is. And I've seen a lot of web designer sites where they have them working on like a website in their office, and you may have this as well. But if you don't specify, hey, it's me, I'm the one doing the web design, it might look like a stock photo, or it might look like your team that's doing it and they don't even know it's you necessarily. So meet your designer. Another great way to go about this, professional shot and a little personal shot as a self-declared WordPress nerd, and a little bit about Leigh Ann. So this is a little bit more about her and her passion. And we'll share next some ideas to craft your own founder's note. A couple more final examples I want to show you though. My man Chris with Ukiki, somebody else I'm coaching right now in Web Designer Pro. Again, he has a marketing style web design agency, and this could very easily, especially since there's no about page up here, get to the point where I have no idea how big this business is. Is this like 50 people or 100 people? And we don't need to specify that right here, but it's nice to know that this guy right here is Chris and he's got a team. Even if you do it this way, that is totally fine as well. I see what I'll probably, actually after this, I might message Chris and say, hey, Chris, I might recommend putting like an arrow here or something that says, hey, I'm the CEO or the founding owner, something like that. And a quick example, if you do something like this is, I coached John for a while here with Graphic Kitchen. Again, not a personal brand business. So, you know, he actually has Meet John in the menu, which is fine, but he's got this little arrow and it says John, founder, creative director. You could have something similar. And then finally, before I share some tips to help you do this yourself, Jennifer, who was recently on my podcast at the time of recording this, really opened up about her mission behind her business for helping purpose-driven and passion-led business owners. So that's very articulated here in her site. She has actually a couple areas here. Now she has a little bit about the type of websites that she builds, but this is not a founder's note as much as you'll see down here currently on her site. A little bit about where she's at with her business in between the freelancer and a full agency model. But she actually has a note from Jenny Lane. Now she goes by Jennifer, but this is another great way to go. It's a little like personal note and something you can share to help people feel comfortable in order to move forward. Because I'm telling you, friends, as web designers nowadays more than ever, you've got to stand out from everybody else. Web design is a very competitive market. And one of the best things you can do is add this little founder's note. Now, I promised I wouldn't leave it without giving you some tips for creating your own. So here are some tips for creating your own founder's note. I'm going to give you 5 main ways because there's no right or wrong way to do this, but you could do one of these 5 and it might even take you 10 minutes right now that you could try it out. Just try version 1. Then you can always make it better moving forward. But I would include adding your image and the text like you've seen in a lot of these examples. Number 1 is you could take your mission statement or whatever that mission of your business is, just like you saw with Jenny's website, and you could make that your founder's note. Just the mission of your business, the results that you try to get your clients. If you have a mission statement already written up, that could be version 1 of your founder's note, and you could tweak it accordingly. The other thing you can do, this is actually my top recommendation that I would do, is give yourself a challenge. Well, I'm going to give you a challenge. If I were to ask you, in 30 seconds, tell me what makes you different than other web designers in the area. Whatever you would say in that 30 seconds, there you go. That's your founder's note. You could record it. You could take the transcript, tweak it, and there's your founder's note. So that's option number 2 is just this little like, what would you say in 30 seconds that's different about you? So it's kind of a why we're different. Number 3 is a specialty you have. Maybe you just build Shopify websites. You could say, I'm in web design and I have a passion for Shopify websites for your e-commerce business owners to get your store online. It could be more specialty related. Even if you have a niche, let's say you build websites for coaches or websites for like veterinarians. I'm coaching a student right now who does a lot of vet sites. If you have a passion in that, you could talk about that. You could talk about your specialty and what types of sites that you design or you typically work with if you have a niche. Another option, number 4 here, 4, is if you do have a deeper meaning, if you have a purpose-driven business or a passion-based business for certain things, 100% make that, and that might be in your mission, but make it more personal, make it more real. Some of the examples we looked at so far have that, where there's a personal meaning and a deeper meaning behind what they're doing other than just building websites. That could be or completely your founder's note. By the way, I meant to say earlier, this can link to your homepage, especially if you have a team. You can say, here's the founder's note from the owner, from the founder, and then click to learn more or meet the team. And that's where you can expand on a bio, your mission, and then a team if you have a full team. And then finally, if you have a compelling story, consider, if you're stuck and you're just not sure what founder's note should be for you, then I would consider the beginning part of your story to lead into somebody going to your about page, but that could still be a founder's note. You could say, I started off, as somebody who struggled with getting a nice website. And now that I do it, I know exactly what to look for. It's what led me here to helping other business owners. Whatever your story is, something like that, or maybe you come from a different industry that's related to your niche, then you can 100% repurpose the beginning of your story as your founder's note. And again, that could lead to your about page where you expand on more about you, your specialty. And if you have a team, expand on your team as well. So I hope this has helped, friends. Founder's note. If you do not have one on your website homepage, get on it right now. And I would love to hear how this helps you in your business. It's helped literally hundreds of members of my community, Web Designer Pro, that I've been coaching more recently. I see a lot of members come in, and usually one of the first things I recommend doing is add a founder's note to your website. And again, I hope these 5 areas will help you. Quick recap. It could be your mission statement. Number 2, whatever you'd say in 30 seconds that differentiates you. Number 3, if it's specialty related, you could put that. If you have a purpose, passion-based meaning behind your business, you could put that. Or the beginning of a compelling story, all could be your ideal founder's notes. All the examples I shared with you a little bit ago are going to be linked, so you can check that out if you'd like to see those live. And I would love to hear from you. Comment below where you're seeing this, if you implement this and how it helps your business, because I guarantee, I can guarantee it because it worked for me and it's worked for hundreds of my students. It will help leads come to your website and turn into paid customers because they're going to get to know you better and they're going to feel more comfortable before moving forward. So there we go, friends. Have fun. Let me see your founder's note, post it below. And I can't wait to see how this helps you in your business.